Welcome to our annual puppet show. I'm the narrator. That means the person here to tell the story. And today I'm going to tell a story called Betty and the Yeti. And it starts the way all of the best stories start, with once upon a time. Once upon a time, in a land across the ocean, at the top of a tall, tall mountain, there lived a Yeti. Wait a minute, what's a Yeti?
Hi there, I'm a Yeti. I live at the top of this tall, tall mountain.
Well, it's nice to meet you, but how come I've never heard of you before? You're a pretty strange creature. People must talk about you.
Have you ever heard of the abominable snowman? Some people call me that.
I don't think so. I don't even know what abominable means.
Abominable means very bad or icky. But I'm not. I'm just misunderstood. I live up here all by myself, growing rare, beautiful snow roses.
Don't you get lonely being all by yourself?
Sometimes. But it's not all bad. If people came up here, they would find my rose garden and pick all of my roses. Then I wouldn't have any left. But nobody tries to come up the mountain. Some people are afraid of me, and others don't believe I'm real.
Well, I'm not afraid of you, and you seem like a really nice guy. But wait, isn't there another character in this story?
Another character? Yikes! I'd better get back to my roses. It was nice to meet you. Bye now.
Bye. What a nice Yeti. He wasn't abominable at all. Let's keep reading the story. Near the bottom of the mountain was a tiny, tiny village. The people that lived in this village were poor, but they were hard workers. All day long, they fished and foraged for food. At night, they sat around their fires and told each other stories. Some old stories, some new stories, but the oldest stories they would tell were about a creature called the Yeti. Hey, I know him.
He has horrible teeth and horrible claws and really bad breath and... Wait a minute. Who are you?
I'm the narrator. That means the person here to tell the story. And right now I'm telling these nice people a story about...
Well, listen here, Miss the Narrator. Right now I'm telling the story.
Mom, I'm sick of this story. Everyone knows that the Yeti isn't real. It's just an old story to scare little kids and stop them from going up the tall, tall mountain.
Betty, you should be scared to go up on the tall, tall mountain. Yeti or not, it's dangerous up there. People have gone up the mountain and never come back.
Maybe they don't come back because they're having too much fun up there.
Betty?
Besides, I've heard tales that the top of the mountain is covered in rare, beautiful snow roses.
Now those are just old stories, young lady. Snow roses went extinct many years ago.
What does extinct mean?
It means they aren't around anymore. They were here in the past, but they don't exist now. But listen...
Anyway, there's no such thing as snow roses. Not anymore. And there is such a thing as the Yeti. And that's why you must never, ever go up the tall, tall mountain. And you should always listen to your mother, right, Miss the Narrator?
Well, probably, but
Hey! How did you get into our house anyway? I've never seen you around the village before.
Well, I suppose I narrated myself here.
Well then, I suggest you narrate yourself out. It's getting late and we need to go to bed. Good night.
Good night. That must have been Betty and her mother. We know she's an important part of the story because the story is called Betty and the Yeti. But wait, does that mean Betty is going to meet the Yeti? Oh no, I think the Yeti wants to be alone. Let's keep reading. And so Betty and her mother went to bed that night. But Betty wasn't sleeping. She was thinking up a plan.
That's right. I have a plan. I'm going up to the top of that tall, tall mountain, and I'm going to see what there is to see. There might be snow roses. And even if there isn't, I bet the view is great from up there. You could probably see for miles, past the mountain streams, past the pine forests, all the way to, well, I don't know what, but I'll find out.
Uh-oh, what if she finds the Yeti snow roses?
What did you say?
Oh, I could really go for some spaghetti and hoses.
That doesn't make very much sense. You're pretty strange, lady.
I may be strange, but at least I'm not abominable.
Abominable? What? I don't even know what that means.
It means very bad and icky, and it's not a nice thing to call someone.
Anyway, I have a plan.
You're a lot like your mother, you know that. It's not nice to interrupt.
Tomorrow night, I'm going to fill my bag with enough smoked trout and berries to feed me for a few days. And I'm going to put on my snowshoes, and I'm going to climb all the way to the top of the mountain.
But your mother said she didn't want you to do that. Didn't you hear her?
Well, yes, I heard her, but I'm not listening.
Uh-oh, maybe we should go warn the Yeti.
What did you say?
Oh, maybe we should make some confetti. Anyway, it's getting pretty late. You should probably go to bed.
You're a lot like my mother, you know that. Good night, strange lady.
My name's not Strange Lady, by the way. I'm the narrator. I'm worried. The Yeti doesn't want anyone to come up his mountain. What's going to happen when Betty finds his snow roses? I don't like where this story is headed. Betty had heard her mother, but she wasn't listening. She was going up the mountain no matter what. The next day, she secretly packed her bag with enough food to last her a few days' journey. Meanwhile, the narrator was worried. She decided to go and warn the Yeti that someone might be coming up the mountain. Hey, that's me. I'm the narrator. I better go warn the Yeti.
Did someone say my name?
Wow, that was fast. For a creature most people have never heard of, you're pretty easy to find.
Hello again, narrator. It's nice to see you. I mean, kind of. You know, I'm used to a little more peace and quiet up here. And now I've seen you twice in less than 15 minutes. I'm sure you're a nice lady and all that, but I think I'd like to be alone now. If someone sees you talking to me up here on the tall, tall mountain, they might get curious. And if they get curious, they might come up here and find my garden.
Yes, we talked about that. But listen, that's why I'm here. A little girl named Betty said she was planning on coming up here tomorrow night. And she did mention looking for roses.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes!
What am I going to do? My poor roses.
Well, I am the narrator. I can keep reading the story.
Yes, please.
The Yeti might be a big, scary creature, but Yetis can get scared too. And at this moment, the Yeti was terrified that this little girl would find his garden and destroy his rare, beautiful snow roses. And so the Yeti came up with a plan. He knew he would have to meet the little girl before she made it to the garden and do his best to frighten her away.
Oh, but I don't want to do that. I don't like scaring people.
Well, do you have a different plan?
No, I suppose I don't.
You can do it, Yeti. All you have to do is scare one little girl. And think, she'll be so afraid that she'll run all the way down the mountain and tell everyone that she saw you. And no one will ever want to come up the mountain ever again.
You really think so?
Of course I do. All you have to do is scare one person, and then you never have to do it again.
Well, I suppose I can scare just one little girl. Thanks for the warning, narrator. I have to go. It's been a very long time since I had to scare anyone, and I need to get ready.
You get ready, Yeti. Bye for now. Well, I'm glad I could help. I feel bad about Betty getting scared by the Yeti, but I don't want anything to happen to his roses. Let's read one more chapter, and then we'll take a break. I don't know how much more of this story I can take. The Yeti practiced all night in his snow cave in front of the mirror, making scary faces and growling his growliest growl.
Growl.
He snarled his snarliest snarl.
Snarl.
He roared his roariest roar.
Roar.
And then he waited for Betty. What a story! I wonder how it ends. I bet the Yeti will... Oh, you're still here.
Hi, narrator. I've been practicing my scary face, but I don't think it's going so well. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm pretty cute and fluffy. Being scary is hard work.
Betty and her mother sat by the fire, and Betty listened as she told her a story. She had heard it 1,000 times, like many of her mother's stories, but this night, she didn't mind. She was thinking about her plan. When it was time for bed, Betty's mother went right to sleep, but Betty didn't. She got her bag, and she got her snowshoes, and she quietly, carefully, sneakily,
Hey, could you keep it down? I'm trying to sneak out here.
Sorry, Betty, but listen, I don't think this is a very good idea.
Of course you don't. Grown-ups don't want kids to have any fun. That's why they make up silly, scary stories about Yetis and other imaginary creatures. But I'm not afraid. I'm going up to the mountain to see what's up there.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
See you later, Miss Narrator.
Betty started the long walk up the tall, tall mountain. At first, the climb was fun and easy and even exciting. But soon, she was huffing and puffing. Climbing up the mountain was harder than she thought.
Ha! Ha! Whew! This is harder than I thought. Hey, what are you still doing here?
I told you I'm the narrator. I'm here to tell the story.
Well, could you add a ski lift to the story? Or something to help me up the mountain? I could really use a break.
I only read what's written here, and I don't see anything about a ski lift. Betty was tired, but she didn't give up.
Fine.
She hiked bravely up the mountain, climbing over rocks and fallen trees, until suddenly...
Suddenly what?
Growl.
Oh my gosh, is that a Yeti?
Snarl.
I thought Yetis weren't real.
Roar.
This is amazing. I can't wait to tell my mom.
Yes, isn't he amazing? Your mom will be so excited to hear you saw a real life... Wait. Aren't you scared? I'm pretty sure this is the part where you're supposed to be scared.
No way! This is great! I think I'm the first person from the village to have seen a real live Yeti. Hi, I'm Betty. What's your name?
Well, some people call me the abominable snowman, I guess.
Really? Doesn't abominable mean bad or something like that?
Very bad and icky.
You're not icky at all. I think your long white fur is really pretty, and you have the most beautiful blue eyes.
I do?
Yeah. Hey, do you like smoked trout? I have some in my bag. Do you want to share it?
Well, it's really nice of you to offer, but actually, I'm a vegetarian. That means I don't eat meat. But hey, are those berries? I love berries.
Have some. I love berries too. They're my favorite.
Betty and the Yeti sat on a big rock and ate up all the berries together. As they talked, they found out they had a lot in common. They both loved berries, they both had moms that told the same old stories over and over again, and they both loved plants and flowers, especially roses. It was then that the Yeti decided to show Betty his garden of rare, beautiful snow roses.
I did?
It says here that you did.
Snow roses? Really? My mom says snow roses are extinct.
They aren't extinct, but almost. They're endangered.
That means they're very, very rare, and there aren't a lot of them left in the world.
The only place they grow is up in my garden. That's why I want people to stay away. The roses are precious, and I don't want anything to happen to them.
It would be a dream come true to see your snow roses. I promise not to hurt them.
So the Yeti took Betty to the very top of the mountain, where he grew his rare, beautiful snow roses. They were all the colors of the rainbow and smelled sweeter than any flower Betty had smelled before. She and the Yeti smelled the roses together, and as they did, the Yeti realized how happy he felt to have someone to share his love for his roses. For a long time, he had been alone on the top of the mountain, afraid of what might happen if someone found his garden. But now he knew how magical it was to share his special roses with a friend.
Betty, I found you!
Mom!
When I realized you weren't in your bed, I was so afraid. I didn't know what happened to you, but I remembered what you said about climbing the mountain, and I came up here straight away looking for you.
I'm sorry, Mom, but I'm okay, really. I met this really nice Yeti.
Oh, that's wonderful, dear. A really nice... Ah! A Yeti!
Oh!
Wait a minute. Why are you afraid, Yeti?
Sorry, I don't like shouting.
Well, I'm sorry for shouting, but I can't believe my eyes. A real live Yeti. I always thought there was no such thing as Yetis.
What do you mean, no such thing as Yetis? You're the one who told me the Yetis are real. You know, horrible teeth, horrible claws, really bad breath.
Hey, bad breath! Shh!
I never said that. Sorry, Mr. Yeti. My daughter gets a little carried away sometimes. Of course, I would never say anything rude about your handsome teeth and very sharp claws. I mean, sharp-looking claws. Really stylish.
Mom, you're embarrassing.
What is that wonderful smell? I've never smelled anything like it.
Oh, those are my...
They're snow roses, Mom. They aren't extinct after all. They're just as real as the Yeti.
They aren't extinct, but they're endangered. And really, you two shouldn't be up here. I'm trying to keep these roses safe. I think you should leave now before anything happens to them.
This is great. Real live snow roses. Wow. Betty, do you know how much these flowers are worth? If we pick these roses,
What?
we can sell them for a fortune. Think of how much money we can raise for the village. There have to be 100 roses up here. If we pick them all, we could build a school and a park and a hospital and...
No!
What are you still doing here?
How many times do I have to say it? I'm the narrator, and I'm here to tell the story. And I really don't think you should pick those roses.
You don't understand. We live in a poor village. The money from selling these roses could change our lives. We could help so many of our friends and neighbors.
But Mom, these roses are endangered. They may be the only ones left in the world. If we pick them, the plants could die and then they would be gone forever.
Well, do you have a better idea?
No, but maybe the narrator does?
I can see what it says in the story. Picking all the roses could mean great things for the village and the hardworking people who lived there, but it could also cause the Yeti's rose bushes to die and be gone forever. Betty thought hard about what to do. The Yeti thought hard about what to do. Betty's mother thought hard about what to do.
Well, I still think we should pick the
No!
Finally, the narrator read the part of the story where they solved the problem.
What do we do? What happens?
They decided the solution to their problem was ecotourism. Ecotourism?
Ecotourism? What's that?
It says here that ecotourism is responsible travel. Tourists visit rare and exotic places to experience their natural beauty while protecting the environment and improving the well-being of the local people. It's fun and it protects the planet.
Wow, that sounds perfect.
I think that's a great idea.
I get all my best ideas from reading.
Tourists? No way. I don't want a bunch of people up here on my mountain. They might trample my roses.
Don't worry, Yeti. Once people see how beautiful and special this place is, they will want to protect the roses just as much as you do.
I do recall reading how much you enjoyed sharing your roses with Betty. Remember how good it felt?
Well, we'll have to talk about this. This is a big change for me, and change is scary.
I care about the roses too, Yeti. I don't want anything bad to happen to them either. I think we can come up with a way to make everyone happy.
Let's find out. Are you ready to hear about what they did? Can I see your eyes? Can you put your hands in your lap? Can you make bubbles with your mouth? Ready? Okay. Betty and the Yeti talked about how they might share the Yeti's rose garden with the world. They lined the garden paths with lovely fences. They put up signs that could explain how precious and rare the beautiful snow roses were.
And they built a ski lift so tourists could get to the top of the mountain.
Okay, they built a ski lift. And once they were ready to share the news with their new tourist attraction, people came from far and wide to see the roses for themselves. Scientists even came to study and learn about the roses.
And they didn't trample them?
And they didn't trample them. They learned ways to plant new rose bushes on the neighboring mountains. And soon the snow roses were growing many more places than just the top of the Yeti's mountain.
That's great. But what about the village?
The little village near the bottom of the mountain flourished thanks to the new tourism industry in the area. They built hotels and restaurants for the tourists to enjoy, and a school, and a park, and a hospital, and...
Wait a minute. I'm happy for the village and that my roses are doing well. But what about me?
The Yeti's life had changed. Although he enjoyed his alone time, he also enjoyed watching as the tourists delighted in his rose garden. As they strolled and smelled the flowers, he again experienced the magic of sharing his beloved roses with friends. Old friends, new friends, and friends he hadn't yet met. Betty was his dearest friend, though, and she came up the tall, tall mountain every evening. She would help him tend to the garden in the peaceful stillness of the mountain evenings, and when they were done, they would share delicious seeds and berries that Betty brought for him in her backpack.
Oh, that's very nice.
Sometimes Betty's mother would come up the mountain too, and on those nights they would build a cozy, warm fire in the Yeti snow cave and tell stories. Some old stories, some new stories, but the oldest stories she would tell were about a creature called
The Bigfoot!
The Bigfoot!
the end. Can we clap? Can we thank Miss Melissa and Miss Megan for giving their voices to our puppets? Can we clap for them? Yay, thank you. Can everybody raise your hand up high? Can you give a little sigh? The puppet show is over. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks everybody for coming. Thank you.
Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne. Learn more under the Explore tab at acpl.info.